this is a serious bill. It is the only bill that the Senate in South Carolina has passed this year. And we as a body are giving it immediate consideration because it is exactly the same bill that we sent to them 2 weeks ago. And we had not realized at that time that the Senate believed it was their turn to pass this bill, and so we have deferred to them, so it's their turn. And what this bill does is critical to the operations of state government. And it is how we bind the state code. That's right, how we sew the pages together. So we will issue again, as we have done every year since we've had the code, a state code, and we will hire a printer, and they will put the supplement. This is the big deal. They're going to put the supplement in the book as opposed to beside the book. And so the Senate has greatly enhanced how we are going to do the code in the state of South Carolina, and I'm going to ask you to join with me in passing this momentous bill from the Senate. And congratulate them. If you see them in the chamber or in the lobby, tell them how appreciative we are that they have gotten to go. And I know I have 10 minutes, Mr. Speaker, according to the rules, to talk about the excellent work the Senate has done in jumping on this bill and making sure we get it. And I'm happy to take any questions about this very serious bit of state government.
Mr. Bannister, you do have a few questions. If you'll yield, I'll recognize those questions. Representative Hart is recognized.
Happy to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Bannister, did you know that I had a nurse practitioner student shadow me today who is taking a government class? Did you know that?
I was unaware of that, but I hope at some point she has an opportunity to flip through the code and enjoy not having to look in the supplement for any possible updates.
Did you know that S1008 will help her learn about government? Did you know that?
It will certainly make it more efficient for her to find the current state of the law as she flips through it and does not have to refer to that pesky white supplement that we all have on our shelves from time to time.
Thank you, Mr. Bannister.
I thought Ms. Erickson has a question and is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Bannister, thank you so much. I know this is important, but I have to ask, is there anything in this bill that helps us with our roads?
Well, that's interesting that you asked that. We believe that the Senate taking baby steps, and not all the senators come from the House of Representatives, so if you come from the House, you sort of understand how to make things go and pass bills. You get to the Senate sometimes. Good senators like Senator Ronnie Sabb still probably has some trace of understanding how to pass a bill. Apparently they wring it out of you pretty quick when you get to the Senate, but perhaps by passing a bill, they will see how it works. And they'll watch it get signed and they'll say, hey, if we pass something else, the House will take it up. And we'll have some laws.
So
potentially it's sort of it's the first step in showing the process.
Does this have anything to do with our ethics reform?
Well, only that the supplement on the ethics section of the code will now be bound in with the rest of the law, although it hadn't changed in 20 years, so it actually won't affect that section at all.
Well, I hope that it'll make it easier for the Senate to possibly find. Thank you, Mr. Bannister.
We'll see what happens.
Representative Williams is recognized for a question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the infinite wisdom of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Representative,
You're hiding right beside me.
Mr. Bannister, let me get you some order. House come to order. Members will please take your seats. Sergeant will please help. Mr. Williams.
As I said, based on the infinite wisdom of our colleagues on the other side of the hall, how long did it take them to hash out their response from us?
Well, I think we sent it to them. It took them about 7 minutes to look back and figure out that it was their turn. It took about an hour and a half meeting with the speaker to complain about it being their turn and not our turn, and we shouldn't go first because they should get credit for printing the code every other year, as we have done in the past. And I believe they gave it immediate consideration without debate and passed it fairly quickly to take advantage of it being their turn to act.
So is this something that you want this body to support moving forward, or where should we stand?
Well, and I'll make this request every time the Senate sends us a bill that makes sense. And that is, I'd like the body to consider it and give it consideration and pass it so that the governor can sign it. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Judge Clary is recognized for a question.
Now, Judge Cleary, if you like having the supplement on the side of the code, I'm not going to take a question from you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Bannister, my question is this. Even though that the Senate has worked with such haste, does this mean that I'm going to have to deal with those supplements for the next 2 years before we get this bound volume?
We're going to bind them as quick as we can. But yeah, you're going to have some supplements for a period of time. And for those lawyers who bill by the hour, understand they had a little lobbying group to stop this bill, because you get to check the code and then the supplement.
Well, I've been receiving text messages here from the circuit judges around the state wanting to know when they can get their bound volume, so that's the reason I was posing these questions.
Well, I believe the code will be printed very quickly. How quickly the judiciary gets it to the judges is an entirely different issue.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Talon for a question. I'm sorry, I misspoke, Representative Talon. I don't want you to make up a question. All right. Ms. Bannister, I don't see any further questions. The pending question before the body, Ms. Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Bannister, is there a physical impact on this?
I'll have to check with staff. I don't believe we have one, no.
Then you can't pass it.
Mr. Bannister and members, thank you. I think we've discussed this one enough. The pending question is second reading Senate Bill 1008. Roll calls required in order. We'll vote on the board.